Hey guys, welcome back to the Waterlad podcast presented to you by Betcha. And here's a little sample of what's about to come in this episode.
You always just earn the right to work harder. Okay, I've made Aussie 19s. Well, I've just earned the right to work harder. I've got my opportunity at the Reds. Well, you've just earned the right to work harder. When I got picked for Australia, well, you've only just earned the right to work harder.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't go on holidays to places that didn't have fields next to me. Like, I'd be away, like I was at the Maldives for I was meant to be there for 7 days, but after 5 days, I'd watch something of someone training somewhere. I was like, oh, we gotta go. Change the flight, went back the next day. I feel so grateful though, which might sound crazy, that I got to challenge and test myself against some of the best players who ever played the game, but possibly the greatest rugby team of all time. Like, someone's mentioned something to me a while ago that like one of the most beautiful things that you can have in your life is realised potential.
What an absolute lad. Well, today I'm joined by one of the greatest halfbacks to ever play the game. With over 100 tests for the Wallabies, where he won a Tri-Nations, a Rugby Championship title, and of course that unforgettable 2011 Reds Super Rugby title, where he broke the heart of many of Crusaders' fans with a man-of-the-match performance. He also spent some time in France with Stade Francais, and he returned home for a stint at the Rebels before spending a whopping 6 years playing for Kintetsu in Japan, where he has recently called time on a very special career. He's now decided to pass on that knowledge in the coaching space, and he's as humble and insightful off the field as he is world-class on it, an absolute legend of the game, and of course a massive lad. It is the great Will Genia. Welcome, mate.
Thank you, brother. I tell you what, that's a hell of an intro, man. Make me feel a lot better about myself than I do.
Mate, you have had some career though, and I was even thinking about it, like everyone, and especially in this side of the world, just has so much respect for you. Like when I said that you're coming on, everyone was just really pumped about it. And I was thinking about your career, and I don't ever remember anyone really criticising you, which is pretty unique for an Aussie who's really good at rugby.
I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, man, it's crazy to think that it's over. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's funny, bro. I remember like when you're a young kid and you get into that environment, like, you always get the older fellas come in and say, appreciate it, it's going to go like that, make the most of it, be grateful for it. And I remember like having that many of the older fellas come in and say that and thinking to myself, mate, whatever, like this is going to last forever. Like you're just an old fella. And it just, bro, it goes like that, you know what I mean? It goes in the blink of an eye. And as crazy as it is to think that it's over, I'm honestly just super grateful. Like, someone's mentioned something to me a while ago that like one of the most beautiful things that you can have in your life is realised potential. And so when I think back on like my footy career, like the ability to be able to not just been someone with potential, talent or ability, but to have realized that to a certain extent where I was lucky enough to play for 20 years and play for some great teams. I feel so content with everything and just really grateful for everything that I've been lucky to have achieved and been a part of.
Man, that's a cool place to be. And you've transitioned straight in to coaching. How have you found that?
Bro, it's interesting, man. Like it's... As much as you feel like you know the game as a player, it's a really different thing to see it from a coach's perspective. And I've been really fortunate. I'm actually doing it with Quade. We can't get enough of each other actually, but yeah, we're just following each other around the world. But you realize how much I shouldn't say how much you don't, not how much you don't know, but how much the game is different when you're trying to teach it. Whereas when, like, for example, if I'm out there playing, I just know it so inherently that it's easy for me. Like I can go out there and execute the game plan, understand the structure, understand how you want to play. But then the ability to actually coach it is very, very different because you've not only got to understand it, I think, to a deeper level, but you've got to then be able to explain it to the people who understand it. So it's been an interesting transition, but a really, really cool one because I'm enjoying learning the game from a different way, from a different perspective, and also starting at the bottom again. Like you finish your play, you finish as a player, like at the top of it, and you move into a different role where you're down at the bottom, and you've got to earn your stripes, and you've got to start that process again. So it's been humbling, but a really cool experience so far.
Yeah, is Quade your boss, is he?
He actually is. He's my boss. I'm just helping him around, setting up drills, moving markers around the place. But again, bro, it's the idea of like that being such a humbling thing, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like I've got to wash the bibs in between training sessions to make sure they're ready for the next day, like all that type of stuff, and I love it. It's crazy to think that, but again, it's just the idea of starting that process again of, well, I'm down here in order to work my way to a position where I can have a bit more influence or have a bit more of an impact. I've got to do the work, and it's just a part of it.
Yeah. Did you always think you'd get into coaching?
Bro, I always wanted to
Yeah.
because I particularly towards the back end of my career, I really loved the idea of sharing experiences with the younger players, whether it was skill development, decision making, habits around training, and habits around lifestyle. And so it's nice to be in a role where that's a more formal role as opposed to just passing on those lessons as a senior player.
Yeah. Well, mate, it's exciting time for Kintetsu. Where are they over there at the moment? They Div 1 or 2?
Now we're in Div 2, bro. So
Div 2.
we qualified for promotion relegation games end of last season.
Yeah.
But we lost to Honda, so we're down in Div 2 again.
You've always been in and around that sort of just the bottom of Div 1, top of Div 2.
Mate, the promotion relegation thing is so difficult. Like I used to always see it in the EPL, right? The Premier League.
Yeah.
Whatever teams go up, come back down. So we were lucky. Like my first 3 years were in Div 2, and then we moved up for 2 years to play in Division 1. And mate, you're just hanging on up there.
Yeah.
Because you like we were beating teams by 70, 80, 90 points on games, but then we go up and we're getting 60, 70, 80 points put on us, and you're just hanging on. Like we got one win in our first season up there, but the quality of the players and quality of the teams are just they're too good, and it's more a case of if you can stay up there for a couple of seasons, build some confidence, build better habits around your training, quite better and develop better quality. You can sort of try to work your way up to mid-table to then try to challenge, whether it's top four or whatever. But yeah, man, it's just about hanging on as much as you can.
Well, if anyone can do it, it's you two, I believe. Looking forward to following that journey over the next few years. It'll be good to watch. But one thing I am really keen to talk to you about is your upbringing. I know it's a unique one, especially for probably listeners over here, but growing up in Papua New Guinea, a place I've never been to, be keen to hear more around what that sort of lifestyle's like growing up over there.
Bro, it was different, man. Like, we didn't grow up with much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we grew up living in houses with my aunts, my uncles, sharing like 3-bedroom places with like 2 families, that type of thing. And then, my parents are my inspiration. Like, they're the most hardworking people that I know. And through their hard work and through their dedication to wanting to provide a better lifestyle for their family, like my mum, who's now the governor of the National Bank in Papua New Guinea, started as a clerk at the bank. She's been there for like close to 40 years. And so through her determination, my old man was a Minister for Foreign Affairs and Minister for Justice. Again, through their determination and hard work and their ability to, I guess, become successful over that time, they're able to provide better opportunities for us, better lifestyles. And we're able to, obviously, then I went to high school in Brisbane. But yeah, mate, growing up there was different, bro. Like really big on religion. So like we were Seventh-day Adventists. So we went to church every Saturday. And for those who don't know, like Sabbath starts at 6 p.m. Friday, finishes 6 p.m. Saturday.
Oh, wow.
So we couldn't play any sports. We didn't play any kind of competitive sports as kids up until like I was 12.
Really?
To Australia.
Far out.
Yeah, none. So the only competitive sports we would play was like backyard cricket or backyard. My old man put up a basketball hoop for, we're all little fellas. So like, not trying to play basketball as well as you could. So, all backyard cricket, backyard basketball, bit of soccer. Like we weirdly got into baseball, which I have no idea how.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a lot of like the simple things in life. Like we would always go home to the village, which is like a 5-hour drive outside of Port Moresby, spend time with our grandparents, spend time in the bush, go fishing, and find enjoyment in things like that in life, as opposed to like, I was having a chat with Quade. We were talking to some kids yesterday, and he was saying he started playing rugby at the age of 4. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Jesus, I didn't even know what rugby was as a sport. Like I genuinely had no idea rugby union existed as a sport. I watched rugby league as a kid on TV, loved my cricket, wanted to be a cricketer growing up. And then I moved to Brisbane for high school, with all the dreams and aspirations of wanting to play cricket for Australia.
Really?
Eventually just fell into rugby because I was somewhat decent at it.
How were you decent at it? Like, if you'd played a bit of rugby league, obviously, or like, was it touch, or what were you playing that you could catch and pass and do enough to be decent.
Not a lot, bro.
Yeah,
Honestly,
far
not a
out.
lot. Like we just watched rugby league. Like we couldn't play any. Like like bro, we would go to church on Saturday mornings. We'd go to church at 8 o'clock. We'd have Sabbath school from 8 till 10, and then you'd have like the main service from 10 till 1 or 10 till 2.
How'd you find that?
Oh, bro, I've got that many like scars on my ears and like my forearms from my mum pinching me to like make sure I listen and pay attention. Me and my brother, bro, even me and my brother would be sitting there like playing rock paper scissors, and she'll grab us and be like, "Wait, listen, like, Mum, I don't even understand what he's saying." Um, but yeah, like so we would be at church until like 2, and then like we'd go home and like we try to sneak out and go play cricket or something, and they'd be like, "Hey, get out of the house! You got to read your Bible or read your read
Yeah.
your study book or whatever." But so like not a lot of sport, bro. Like just the backyard stuff. Like I can't ever really remember playing any kind of touch as a kid. Loved playing like soccer at school.
Yeah.
Played just heaps of cricket, bro. Like honestly, like we would play like test match style stuff on like Sundays when we could. Like we'd say, okay, I'd ride up. I'm the West Indies. My brother was Australia, and we have 11. I'd have 11 batters, and he'd have to get me out all 11, and then whatever the score was, he'd have to then try and play. And it was like a test match. Like he'd have to beat my score, and then I have to come back in for second innings. That was a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that we played around sport, bro.
Oh, that's good stuff. Was it just you and your brother? Is that your only sibling?
Nah, so I've got two brothers. So my older
Oh, yeah.
brother Frank and my younger brother Nigel. So he was mainly the three of us
Yeah.
that would uh spend time like competing and playing sports. I've got two younger sisters actually as well.
Oh, yeah.
I
And
should say that they might watch this and say I forgot about them.
Keep them happy. But
Yeah,
you mentioned you were living with other families as well. Did they all have kids? Was it just big groups of kids playing,
yeah,
or
it
was
was
it mainly just you and your brothers?
like big groups of kids. Like when we were real
Yeah.
young, we'd stay with like my cousins. And so heaps of backyard cricket, heaps
Oh,
of
yeah.
backyard cricket, heaps of soccer. And then eventually when we moved out into our own place, yeah, it'd just be me and my brothers.
Mm. So why did you move? Why did you move to Brisbane?
Just school, bro. I think like my parents worked hard enough to be able to give us an opportunity to get a better education. You know, like I don't feel like that's disrespectful to say, like that you know the opportunity to go to school in Brisbane and get a better education, and also just whatever opportunities came of that. You know,
Yeah, and how hard was that? I mean, 12's quite a challenging age to move.
it was pretty hard, but I was really lucky that my older brother was there. So my older brother had gone to Canberra for a couple of years for boarding school, and then he moved over to Brisbane when I went to Brisbane.
Oh, yeah.
So we were both there, and so that definitely made it easy. It was tough. It was old school back then too, bro. So like, and I loved it. So I'm not saying this in a way that I don't appreciate it, but like tough love from like the seniors. You know, like I was a bit of a smartass as a kid, so like you'd talk a bit of smack and talk a bit of shit and like run around, and they'd be chasing me halfway around the school, and they'd grab me and then they'd give you a bit of a hiding. I mean, you know, the dorm seniors would make you stand up and stare at the wall for like 30 minutes, and if you moved, you'd get like a whipping with a belt, all that type of stuff.
Did your brother look after you?
Mate, he was the worst. He would dob me in. He dobbed me in for sure. I remember I ran past him, and bro, he was in year 12, and I was in year 10. And I remember his mates were chasing me. I was like, bro, help, please. He was like, nah. He just watched me getting chased halfway around the school, which is actually probably what helped me as a footy player, like having to run around.
So you
with all
got
these
fast.
seniors. Yeah, bro, got fast and got elusive, and I was avoiding beatings and hidings from all the boys.
Oh, that's classic. And was it a massive culture shock for you? Like, it would have been pretty all new for you.
Yeah, it was very different, bro. Like really different. Like as a young kid growing up in Papua New Guinea, I think I'd only ever been to Australia once before that. I went to, or maybe a couple of times before that, to
Yeah.
Canberra to see my older brother, um, and to Brisbane, I think, for a holiday with my uncle. Just yeah, like really, really different, bro. Like especially going to boarding school, you know what I mean? Like all the rules, all how how you sit at a table with like a knife and fork, and like etiquette is important, all that type of stuff. Yeah, it was just really different, but it was the best experience. Like I tell people all the time, I was so grateful that I was a boarder, because the relationships and the connections that you make with your mates, because of that, because you just spend time with them, bro. You're with your mates all day, every day, and like I quickly fell in love with footy, and so like every afternoon we'd be down playing touch or down playing like tackle, like especially when it was raining, like down on the fields, we'd be walking around with footies in and around the dorms, like breaking windows, throwing throwing the footy around and pretending we're Carlos Spencer or, Stephen Larkham or whoever.
So is that how the rugby started? Was it just from mucking around, or?
Yeah, pretty much. So I went to BBC, and the first term sport was cricket. So I loved cricket, got into it. And then the second term sport was rugby. And so I was like, oh, you kind of, when you just gravitate to something, like I was like, oh,
Mm.
I like this. I'm going to play this. Like I feel like I'll be good at it. And so naturally I started off as a winger, bro.
Oh, did you?
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I was a winger, bro. But again, it was just, at that age, like it was just give me the ball and let me run around, let me play, let me have a go. And I fell in love with it very quickly, to the point where, like I said, I just always had a ball in my hand. My old man tells me all the time. I was like, man, when you were a kid, especially like when you went to BBC, when you came back, we couldn't find you anywhere without a footy in your hand,
Sure.
or you were just carrying a rugby ball around everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I quickly fell in love with the game, because it was the main sport there too. Like rugby's big at GPS schools in Queensland, and so like everyone gets into it. Everybody wants to make the first 15. Everybody wants to be a rugby player.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I very quickly fell in love with it.
Am I right in saying that your brother was a gun as well? Like, was that sort of expectation there? Did you want to follow him and what he was doing?
Yeah, well, I had this motivation to want to be better than him because he was a gun. Like he played Queensland 16s, Queensland schoolboys, super talented. And he was the first guy that I ever looked up to and wanted to be like as a footy player. I tell him that all the time, and I'm grateful for it because I loved watching him play and watching the way that he played the game. He was a halfback as well, and he was yeah, bro. He taught me how to pass. I remember like it was we were in the backyard one. I think I was in year 9. He was in year 11 playing the first 15. I like had to beg him, like, please teach me how to pass left to right. I can only pass right to left. And he gave me like 5 minutes of his time, which was enough. But he was just, yeah, I was like, bro, you can give me more than 5 minutes. But yeah, he was kind enough to help me out. But he was a huge inspiration on both fronts because I loved watching him play, wanted to be like him. But then all his mates would always say to me, "Oh, you'll never be as good as your brother. Your brother's the man. Like you're never going to be as good as him." And I was like, we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah. So you use that as motivation?
Yeah, big time. I
Yeah.
still, bro, for my whole career, I always used to remember that. Like it would just be in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Not to disrespect my older brother, but just people like constantly say, "You're not going to be as good as him, or you won't be like that." And it's sort of like it fed into this thing of like, looking for things, almost like in a crazy way, looking for things to try and prove people wrong.
And what did you do? What did you do to get so good in such a short period of time?
Bro, I don't know. I think maybe I had some talent. I don't know. So I started on the wing,
Yeah.
and then I moved to inside center the next year, and then I moved to 10 the next year, and eventually I stopped growing, so I moved into halfback. But I think one thing that really benefited me, bro, with that was the ability to develop different parts of my game from having played all those positions. So like as a wing, as a young kid, as a center, like I just loved running the ball. So it allowed me to build that within my game, the ability to carry, be strong in the carry, be evasive, like acceleration, all that type of stuff. When playing 10, it allows you to build skills around vision and
Yeah.
understanding how to be a playmaker. And then so when I eventually moved into 9, like when I think about my game, I like to think that I was like an all-round playmaking halfback where I was good at my core skills, my run, pass, kick, but I also had the ability to be a playmaking halfback to create space and opportunities for guys around me, but also I could run the ball.
Mm.
And so I just think naturally I was fortunate to develop and play the way that I played because of the positions that I covered coming through school.
Yeah. Did you spend a heap of time on those core skills that you mentioned? Like, I remember talking to Aaron Smith around how much time he'll just spend passing. But
Bro,
same for you?
heaps. So like
Yeah.
once I eventually moved into halfback, so I played my first year at first 15. I played 10 because we had another halfback who was playing Queensland schoolboys at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then I moved into halfback, and then like bro, I never thought that I would be anything. So like I played Queensland schoolboys in year 12, my final year of school. And then I remember I was so fortunate. I had a guy called Chris Lane who was my mentor. He was my first 15 coach. We were driving. It was like I think it had been the last game of the season, the week of the last game of the season, year 12. And he was like, "Mate, you can actually like make something of this. You can be a footy player." And I laughed at it. I was
Mm.
like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm not even playing Australian schoolboys, or I'm not even doing anything." He's like, "Mate, just trust me. Like, give me some time, and let's do this, and let's have a go at it." And so I I ended up playing Colts down with him at his club at a club called GPS in Brisbane. And so what we and we bro, we would I tell people hours, but like I genuinely mean hours. So we would spend hours before training, hours after training. Like the lights would go off at the club, and he would turn his car light on, and we'd still be there passing. And like we'd be doing all different types of passing, like where he'd grab like rubbish bins and put the balls in the bin, and you'd be reaching in to pull it out, simulating like a ruck and things of that nature. And so it was just hours upon hours upon hours. And then eventually, like I played Queensland, I played Aussie 19s that year, first year out of school, but I only played because the two Australian schoolboys halfbacks in front of me from the year before who were tipped to make it, they both broke their legs.
Oh, true.
Bro, it was like a proper Stephen Bradbury story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so I got an opportunity. The coach was like, "Oh, come down and have a trial and see how you go." Went well at the trial, and then went away. Didn't play much because there's a guy called Josh Holmes who was the starting halfback, and he ended
Oh,
up
yeah.
we won the comp that year, the under 19s World Cup that year, and he was player of the tournament. So didn't play much footy, but then off the back of that, I got given an opportunity to join the Reds Academy at the end of that year, and then so that was further like affirmation for like, well, if I can apply myself and I get give it and I can somewhat improve and get better, I'm gonna, I've been given this opportunity. Well, I'm gonna keep going. And so like I sat down with Chris Lane and we made this commitment where we were like, we're just gonna give everything to this, like give absolutely everything to this, do what's required of us and more, and wherever it takes us, it takes us. So it was again like no holidays, like no Easter holidays, like no, but I wouldn't go out with my mates for beers on the weekends, like I'd be doing like extra conditioning, running after sessions. Again, the same thing, passing when the lights are out, kicking when the lights are out. Um, and eventually, like you obviously you just improve off the back of that. And then I was lucky enough. I played Queensland 19s and had a good tournament. And Eddie Jones had actually watched me play. And again, another Stephen Bradbury moment. Sam Cordingley, who was a Queensland Reds outback, did his Les Franks. He was out for 12 months.
Oh, far
So
out.
my first day walking into preseason at the Reds, end of 2006, I think it was like end of October. I got tapped on the shoulder. I was like, "Oh mate, you're training with the actual top squad because Sam Cordingley's injury is out for 12 months." And bro, I was like panicking.
How old are you at this point?
Bro, I was 18.
18. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Far
bro,
out.
I'm literally like, what?
Yeah.
And so like I picked up so the academy gear was white. So I picked it up and they're like, "Nah, you need to go shop for the actual red stuff." And like I'm putting on this gear, like I feel like a fraud. I'm like I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here. Um, but like that's sort of how my journey took me to that point where I'd been given that opportunity. And again, it was the same thing where it was like, well, it might have been luck, but because you've put the work in, you've been
Yeah.
noticed and you've been given this opportunity. And it was further affirmation again to be like, well, I'm here. I'm going to make the most of this. I'm going to sacrifice everything and anything. I'm going to put in the time. I'm going to put in the effort. And wherever it takes me, if it gives me a 1 year career, I'll live with it because I gave it everything. If it gives me a 2 year, whatever, same thing, I'm going to live with it. Like we'd be training, right? And then like we'd finish training. I'd do like half an hour extras, 45-minute extras. And then like I wasn't fit enough at that stage, right? So like we'd finish training, big session, then I'd go home. I'd drive my car, I'd turn the car lights on, and the field next to my house, I'm gonna do like 45 minutes of fitness. And then after that, I'd take a bag of balls and I'm gonna pass the ball just at the uprights because at that stage there's no one with me. Like a
Yeah.
bag of balls for like 45 minutes where you have to hit the post. Go back to training, do the same thing afterwards. Wednesday have a day off. Thursday do the same thing. Like go back and do fitness yourself under the lights. Or if it wasn't in the field, I go home, go for like a 5K round, 6K round, and then go back to the field and be passing balls at the field with my car lights as the only light for like 45 minutes.
It's crazy. It's just that old saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Like that basically sums it up. Hey, like you got a couple of breaks in front of you, but you'd worked so hard that you made that luck. And every time you got an opportunity, you took it, and your progression was just so quick from there.
100%. And I was so lucky. One thing that people like, it wasn't just me. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, I
Yeah,
was lucky that my parents in that year in 2006, I asked them, I said, "Can you look after me for this year so I can actually give this a go?"
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I'm so grateful for them looking after me and giving me that opportunity by allowing me and taking care of me so I could do that. But then I was, again, so fortunate to have Chris Lane in my life because he taught me so much, like so much. Like he gave me his bro. Like say he was struggling as well at the time. Like I lived an hour away from where we trained at his club. And like he was struggling, so like he would give me like the last $20 in his wallet so I could have fuel to go to training. Bro, I'd be then selling like me and my brother laugh about it all the time. So like we would go to like cash converters in Brisbane and sell like a jug or sell like a microwave so that we have like money for fuel to go to training. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just crazy stuff like that.
Man, that's cool.
But like one thing he taught me as well on top of it was you always just earn the right to work harder. And that's something that's stuck with me forever. So like, okay, I've made Aussie 19s. Well, I've just earned the right to work harder because I want to stay at this level. Okay, well, I've made Queensland 19, same thing. Well, I've got my opportunity at the Reds. Well, you've just earned the right to work harder. You're not resting on your laurels. Well, I'm on the bench now for the Reds. Same thing. I'm a starter for the Reds, and it sort of followed me all the way through my career. Like, say, even when I got picked for Australia, well, you've only just earned the right to work harder.
Yeah.
Because you're in the squad now. You've earned the right to work harder, so you can be on the bench. You've earned the right to work harder, so you can start. Okay, well, you're a starter now. You're the main guy now. Well, you've just earned the right to work harder to stay there and to improve and to be better and keep getting better.
Love that mindset. You can see it in the way you've played for so long.
And that's the thing. Like, I really have to pay homage to like those people because again, you don't do those things by yourself. So like, yeah, Chris, like I will forever be grateful because he sacrificed so much of his time, his energy, and he just like he was there for me and gave me all these amazing bits of advice that have allowed me to be successful.
And how did you feel when you went into the Reds environment? You said you felt like an imposter, but once you were in there, did you get comfortable? How long did that sort of take?
It took a while to get comfortable, but only because it took a while for me to adjust to the way that professional rugby players train. Like, bro, the funniest story, like my very first session, it was part of the warm up was to go through like the attacking shape off 9 and attacking shape off 10. And it was a warm up, bro. And it was 10 minutes. I was gassed. And Eddie James looked at me and he laughed. He goes, "Really, mate? That's just a warm up. You're gonna be all right, mate." I was thinking, "Fuck, I don't think I'm gonna be all right." Yeah, but that was the hardest part in terms of the transition, bro, and how to adjust. Was just adjusting to be able to train like a professional.
Yeah.
And it was one of the great things that I think Eddie did really well for us young blokes was he made us understand very quickly, like in order to play like a professional and play at this level, you've got to learn to train like one first.
And when your debut came around, did you feel ready?
I don't think I still feel ready, bro. No.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's yeah. If I'm being honest, I don't think I felt ready because my debut was like we're playing Hurricanes, so like that's Tana Umaga, Jerry Collins, first game with Suncorp in 2007.
All right.
But you just go out there, bro, and you just trust the work that you've put in, whether you feel ready or not. It's more a case of have you done the work and have you prepared as well as you can? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. When you get out there, you rely on the work that you've put in. And so, as a young kid, I can say I did do the work. I did give myself every opportunity to be successful to as much as I could in terms of what I knew at that stage.
Yeah.
But I do remember thinking, I don't know if I should be here.
Man, it's so crazy. And what about the that group, that Reds group? You obviously went on to have the success in 2011. How did you find that was sort of built up over those years? It obviously had a good core young group, but
yeah.
What else do you remember about that time?
Well, we were really lucky that we had a lot of guys come through at the same time.
Yeah.
So like myself and Quade were there. James Waller was there slightly before us, but then a lot of the guys that came through had played together at school rugby, at Aussie school rugby level, and so there was a sense of camaraderie and relationships already established, which, as you know, is really important in rugby teams. But I'd say that one of the main things was Ewan McKenzie becoming our coach.
Oh, yeah.
I think, but he was a genius. His ability to be able to understand the group of players that he had in terms of the profile of it and to get the most out of it was such an eye-opener because he didn't come in and say, okay, this is how I want to play the game, and you guys just have to adjust to how I want to do it. He came in and he took his time to understand the players that he had, and then he built a game style around it. So obviously guys like myself and Quaid are a bit more instinctive, play what's in front type footy. So he structured a game model around that and then built a team around that,
Yeah.
So built a team around being a hardworking, fit team with not necessarily a lot of X factor, there was for sure like guys sprinkled in there like Radiki Samo, Scott Higginbotham, Digbyani. But he was like, we're just going to be a hard-working, fit team um, that outworks the opposition.
Yeah.
And we built a game plan around it.
And what did that look like in terms of yours and Quade's relationship? Like, did you guys have license to just pull trigger on anything that you saw?
We did, bro. We did, which was like I look back and I'm so lucky that we did because there was so much learning from that. Like another guy that we had, Jim Mackay, who was our attack coach, but he used to cop some bullets for us. Some of the stuff we do, like he used to tell us, like, boys, I love you, I'll back you, even though Ewan's in my head going, what the fuck are these blokes doing? Or like, what are they doing? Like, what's Willie doing this, or why is Quade doing that?
Yeah.
But what allowed us to do was like learn on the run in real time at that level. It's not like we were out there experimenting. Like we worked hard on our core skills and our skill sets to be able to execute what we did out there. But the game plan in itself allowed us the freedom to be able to explore our abilities and grow and learn, because we played in such a free way and in a simple way.
Yeah, and even when you got to the crunch time, the knockout stuff, you guys were always still playing that freestyle, just playing off instincts. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah, mate, it was great because when Ewan McKenzie came in 2010, like what he was just so shrewd with how we managed the group. So like because we weren't a team that won a lot, he would give us little bits of motivations before certain games. He'd be like, "Boys, we haven't won a game at Suncorp in however many years, or whatever it is." And then we started getting on this win streak. He said, "Boys, you've never won 5 games in a row at Suncorp. It's an opportunity to make history." And then he'd bring up little things like that would feed into like our psyche and really motivate us to want to change the history of Queensland rugby because we hadn't been successful for a long period of time. And then in terms of the actual rugby, like he put together game plans. Like whenever we played South African opposition, like it was like, mate, we're not kicking, we're running the ball from everywhere because they're a big team. If we kick the ball out, they're going to get a penalty, kick 3 points or more, get field position, maul again, score a try. So like we're running the ball from everywhere. If you have to kick, you're kicking it long and you're keeping it in.
Yeah.
And so he was really innovative with how we wanted to play the game. And as a young group, again, understanding the profile of the group, like we just bought into it. We're like, man, I love this. Like we want to do this. Like let's rip in, let's have a go. And so he was such a smart operator. But then as we progressed into 2011, what he started to do was just add little bits and pieces of detail, like a bit more of a kicking game, a bit more of an understanding of how to manage big moments, kick on the run or as you're going forward, as opposed to kicking, playing a bunch of phases and getting stuck here and then being forced to kick. So it was like it was a 2-year progression of how we built the group, in terms of how we wanted to play the game. But also, I loved what he did in terms of managing the group. So like, when you play for a lot of teams and the coach says, mate, train hard and I'll pick you. More often than not, like the coach knows who he's going to pick and he probably sticks more with the guys that he wants to pick.
Yeah.
Mate, if you trained well, he would pick you. And so what it did was it created such a great competitive environment at our sessions where we were competing with each other like sometimes harder than games because guys wanted to play. Guys loved the way we all loved how we wanted to play and guys wanted to play and be a part of that. And so trainings were competitive and it was just such a great environment to be a part of.
And that's cool. And it's such an underrated part of a side, I reckon, is the way the team can train on those sessions before the game. Like if you've got hard competition in those games, those teams are always more successful than the ones who just have that easy walk through. And it sounds like you guys had that real compete to training for positions, like you said.
Bro, big time. And I think it's, like I said, I give Ewan so much credit for being a man of his word in that sense. Because again, like and we'd also have this thing, like if you gave away like a certain, because we had a problem with penalties for a certain point. And if you gave away a certain amount of penalties, you got given a red and yellow and green, red obviously being the worst.
Yeah.
And if you got back-to-back reds, you wouldn't play.
Oh,
and I think at the time, James Hall, our skipper, got back-to-back reds. He didn't pick him.
Shit.
And so the message of that sense to the group is like, no one's above the team. And everyone here is good enough to play.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And then what do you remember about when it all came together? 2011 final against the Crusaders at sold out Suncorp. What a moment and what a try. Far out. One of the all-time greats.
Oh, bro, the try, I still don't know how I scored that try. Honestly, like I went to kick because I was like, we're under the pump here. We get a turnover. And I've been charged down a couple of times at that stage. But I was like, because DC had rushed up on the outside and I was like, I can't kick. So I stepped back on the inside. And I sort of ran past Richie McCaw. And then the funny thing is, I can't remember the half, but can't afford to elite you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bro, I literally ran right next to him. If he tackled me, he would have tackled me. But he let me run past him and tried to ankle tap me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, sweet. So and I just kept running, bro. I kept running. And then I was lucky because Quaid actually worked really hard to push up on the outside, and so did Rob Simmons. And that took the attention of Sonny and Zach Guilford. And Sean Maitland was tracking across. And he obviously didn't get to me in time, but I don't think he realized that I was going to keep running. He must have thought I was going to pass, because if he's going full tilt, he catches me all day, every day. And so, like, it's one of those. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't think I should have scored this try, but I'll take it.
Mate, you've just ran past 6 of the all-time greats almost.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, I had a chat to Quaid a long time ago. I was like, bro, that team that we played in that final is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we beat them twice that year. We beat them in the round robin at Suncorp. I think it was the second last round of the season. And then we beat them again in the final. And we were talking about some of the names, and I was like, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah. But your side was good too, eh? Like, you guys were just playing with a style that teams struggle to defend against because you're playing so instinctively.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It just all came together, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like a perfect storm type of thing, where
Yeah.
we had the right group, and we got the right coaching group. We had the right game style, and we were lucky enough to build that for a couple of years before winning in 2011.
Yeah. And you'd been in the Wallabies for a couple of years by this point too, eh? Like, how was that going into the Wallabies sort of camp?
Oh, it was surreal, man. I remember the same thing, bro. I remember walking into so we had a camp at Manly. When I first got picked, so I had a good season in 2009, and I'd done my tendon in my finger, and so I was out for 3 months.
Oh, true.
And Robbie Deans called me and said, "Look, Willie, you've had a really good season. I think I would have picked you for the domestic series against France, but just get yourself right, and we'll see how it goes for Tri Nations." And I was like on a mad high for like a week, but then it's like, well, all I can focus on is my rehab, so I'm just going to do my rehab. Completely forgot about it. Took up a business development course at Ballymore, and I was sitting in there doing this course, and then Morgan Turanui was sitting next to me. He was doing it with me, and he pushed this piece of paper in front of me, and I'm like studying, like the only time I've ever studied, like trying to write something. And I pushed it away. I was like, bro, what are you doing? And then I was like trying to read and write something again, and then he pushed it in front of me. I pushed it away. I was like, bro, please. And then he said, read it. And I was like, oh, fuck, sweet. Picked it up, and it was like, Wallabies announced for Tri Nation squad for 2009. Will Genia is included as halfback. And I was like, bro, I started shaking. I was like, what? Nah. And then, like, I put my hand up. I was like, oh, can I please be excused from the class? I don't know why. It's not a classroom, but and I walked outside, and I was like, man, this can't be real. And then I turned my phone on, because we had to leave to have our phones off.
Yeah.
Heaps of phone calls, heaps of messages. And it was Matty Mack, actually, the Wallaby team manager, called me and said, look, mate, congratulations. You're in. You need to do some media stuff while you're busy in the next couple of days before you join camp. So that was a funny story.
That's a crazy way to find out.
Bro, it was crazy, right? Crazy. I laugh with Morgs all the time about it, because he was the first person to tell me. But
that's your last day of study.
Yeah, bro, last day. Now I sit in front of a computer as a coach. Jesus, could have done more study. No, but then we went into camp at Manly, and bro, like, I walk into camp, and like, you got George Smith, Sterling Mortlock, Rocky Elson, Matt Giddo. Same thing, bro. I was like, I don't belong here. I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I'm a fraud. I should not be here.
And then when you had your debut, what was that like?
Oh, bro, that was unreal. Like, that was crazy. That's one of the best memories ever. Like, that was Eden Park when he was still getting redeveloped against the All Blacks. And, like, I don't know, bro. Like, you grow up watching the Haka thinking it's the greatest thing ever. And, like, I'm standing there thinking, bro, I'm watching this thing. Like, this is insane. Like, this is ridiculous. And then, like, you see Richie McCaw, and you see Piri Weeper, and you see Dan Carter, and you're like, bro, again, I'm a fraud. I shouldn't be on the field. But then, like, like, it's one of those things. Like, I remember, like, I only got on for 2 minutes, and Robbie, I got told by the coaches with 20 to go get ready, and I was thinking, yo, I'm ready. Like, I'm gonna get on. I'm warming up. Then it was like 15 minutes to go. I was like, yo, I'm ready to go on. 10 minutes to go. I'm ready to go on. And when it got to 5 minutes, I was like, I'm nervous. I don't want to go on. Please don't put me on. And then you end up,
what can I do in 2 minutes?
I was like, well, I was just so comfortable knowing if I got to go on for 20. So I was like, because I can feel my way into it for 20 minutes. But then, like, for 2 minutes, I was like, bro, if I go on there, I might have one pass. And if I stuff it up, bro, that's me. That's what I was thinking. But I got out there and, like, I think I threw a couple of passes, couple of good passes. And then I remember thinking to myself, oh, like, I belong here. Like, I deserve to be out here. You know, like, it was a lot, even in the 2 minutes, like, it was a lot faster, a
Yeah.
lot more intense. Time and space is much less. But I was like, but it's still footy, you know? So, like, I can do this. I think I can do this.
That's cool. You must have nailed that 2 minutes.
Yeah, bro. 2 passes, nailed them out in front. But literally 2 passes, I think. But then I remember seeing Piri Weaver after the game, and Piri at this stage was like my guy. Like, I love watching him play. Like, unbelievably skillful rugby player. I loved he was also like a playmaking halfback. His ability to step out and sit defenders and playmate. And I remember he came up to me and gave me his jersey. And I went to swap. He was like, no, you keep yours. I'll give you mine. And I remember thinking that was such a great thing to do. And I still remember that like really, really fondly.
Yeah, man, he was a legend, eh?
Oh, he's a legend, bro. Legend of the player and a really, really good fella too.
Yeah. And what about the 2011 Rugby World Cup? Was one, obviously, big memory here in New Zealand, but also remember that whole tournament, the way you guys played, especially in that semi-final against the All Blacks.
Mate, it was an amazing experience for one. Like, I love that the Rugby World Cup was in New Zealand because it's a rugby place, right? A rugby country.
Yeah.
And so the buzz around the game was incredible. And as a young kid, I was 23 at the time, like to experience something like that was unreal. But we just come off the back of winning the Tri Nations in 2000. We beat New Zealand in the Tri Nations that year in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So, like, we were coming in with a bit of confidence. And then, like, we obviously got through. We lost to Ireland in the pool stages, which put us on the side of New Zealand because otherwise we wouldn't have played New Zealand in the semi. And so I remember coming up against them, and you know we got into the game with confidence because we'd beaten them the last time we played to win the Tri Nations. But they had adjusted their game plan so incredibly well. They basically they nullified our contestable kicking game by picking like Corey Jane, who was excellent in the air, and picking Kahui on the wing, another guy really excellent in the air. But then what they did is they flipped it on us because we used to have Quade Cooper out in the backfield. And I remember hearing Izzy Dag talk recently. He was saying anytime that they saw him in the back, they just put contestable kicks up on him. And then just turn the pressure on us in that sense. And so they obviously identified somewhere where they could take advantage of us, which they did. But take aside that, like that was obviously smart footy to identify that as something that they wanted to take advantage of. They blew us off the park. I just remember thinking we couldn't match their intensity and match, you know, their mentality during that game. Like I think we lost 22-0.
Was it that score?
Yeah, bro. I think we didn't score. We didn't score a point.
Yeah.
Or maybe we scored 2 penalties. But I think Quade might have hit a drop goal and a penalty, so it was 20-6, 22-6 or something. But I just remember like feeling so deflated afterwards because at no point did I feel like we were in that game.
How hard's that when you're actually in the moment, like when you're feeling it like that? Are you just trying to
bro, it's so hard.
Change a plan or?
We tried at certain points to change a plan, but they were just like, it was almost like that was their final.
Yeah.
You know, like I just think they were so up for that game because we'd beaten them in the Tri Nations and they knew that I think we would be the most challenging opposition in that World Cup if they came across us. And so, you know, they were just so well prepared, so dialed in, so tactically aware, and they just executed.
Yeah. And then was it the following year you have your knee injury? Was it ACL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. ACL against South Africa.
How hard was that for you?
Oh, bro, that was hard. That was hard. Like really, really devastating because I was captain of Australia at that stage. But I felt at that point in my career, I just felt in such great rhythm, like in the game. You know, I felt like I was playing well and playing consistently well. My body was in good shape. I was in a good place mentally, and so it's devastating to have that injury. And I remember getting interviewed after that game. If you haven't seen it, bro, go to YouTube and watch Real Genia versus Rod Tafer. So he asked me a question, and he was like, "Oh no, what did he say?" He goes, "Oh, so you didn't play that well today?" And I've just done my ACL. I'm like, "Oh, so what are you saying? I didn't have a good game today. I thought I played pretty well." Bro, this is on like Fox Sports, like TV. But no, it was devastating. But you know what, bro? Like I remember that whole period of going through that rehab was one of the best things ever because it really tested me mentally. emotionally, physically, and I was able to come through it. Um, all those things that you talk about, you earned the right to work harder. Um, people talk about discipline and being consistent and having a good work ethic. It's really tested when you're put in situations like that, and, I was so grateful for it because I came through the other side stronger, um, and learned so much about myself as a person, moving forward.
Yeah. Did you what? Because you won Super Rugby Player of the Year the first year back from it. Unheard of.
Yeah, like the big motivation for that year, bro, was I wanted to get back for the Lions series because
Oh yeah.
2013 was a Lions series, and so I think the ACL 6 to 9 months. 9 months would have put me right at the start, or probably even having missed it. And so I was like, man, I'm coming back. Like, I want to play in this series. And so I got back at 6.5 months, which gave me like 3 Super Rugby games to get back for.
True.
And so I was able to get those 3 games in before that Lions series.
And what was that like? Like, obviously, that we've just had a recent one over in Australia, which was pretty incredible. Like, man, the way that those Lions fans travel is pretty special. Like, what was it like for you playing in it?
Mate, bro, greatest rugby experience of my life. Like,
Was it?
I've fortunate,
Far out.
yeah, bro, fortunate to play in 3 World Cups, but nothing like that series because,
Yeah.
like, the whole build up, like, you start thinking about that thing the year, like, midway through the year before. You're like, man, like, they only come here once every 12 years. I want to plan this. And then throughout the start of the Super Rugby season, and as you're going through, you're like, oh, I want to play in this, which means I got to play well. Like, and also for me, like, my big thinking was, I want to play in this, but I don't want to just participate. Like, I want to go out there, and I want to ball out. Like, I want to play.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just because there's so much prestige and history and tradition about it. Once every 12 years, and like, it's like for us in Australia, like, rugby becomes the main thing for that 3 weeks. It's everywhere. It's front page of the paper. It's, everyone's wearing rugby jersey around Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. Everyone's talking about rugby, and so you want to be a part of that. And so, I was so fortunate to have been a part of it. Played somewhat decent footy, and like, I have such fond memories of it.
Yeah. And probably a tour you could have won, eh?
Bro, I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but I do feel like we should have won.
Yeah.
But like, anybody's going to say that, like, they won, yeah, fair and square. They won 2-1. But mate, regardless of the result, like, it was it was the greatest rugby experience of my career for sure.
All right, that's cool. And then obviously the 2015 Rugby World Cup. How did that one compare to the 11?
That was incredible. Like, that, just the bunch of guys that we got to do it with, the people that we got to do it with, like the Lions series was the greatest rugby experience of my life. But in terms of like time spent with people and just enjoying the game and enjoying everything about it in terms of camaraderie and sense of team, like that would be right up there. You know what I mean? Like, I had the 8 weeks that we had at that tournament was like so enjoyable. Everybody enjoyed each other's company. Everybody worked hard. And through that hard work and commitment to each other, like, we built such a good relationship with each other that just made it so enjoyable. Like, take aside the games and everything, like, it was just such a great 8 weeks. And again, similar to New Zealand, like, with it being in England, which is the home of rugby, like, the buzz around the game was just incredible. And getting to play a number of games at Twickenham, like, we played England at Twickenham, and we beat them to knock them out without even in the pool stages.
That's right.
Like, that, mate, that was incredible. Like, to see fans leaving the stadium early, like, I really enjoyed that. Mate, I really enjoyed that.
And then the final?
No, the final, Jesus. Oh, the final. Funny story. We'd beaten New Zealand in the rugby championship earlier that year again. It was like deja vu. Like, the most beautiful thing about that I think about is, I remember waking up in that morning before the game thinking, man, I could be a world champion by tonight.
Yeah.
That was like, that's a cool thing, like, we didn't win, obviously, and like, people probably make fun of me for saying that, but like, to give yourself that opportunity to be in that position, to wake up and think that, man, by tonight I could be a world champion, like, that is was such an amazing thing, and equally devastating because you weren't. But mate, we just came up against possibly the greatest rugby team of all time. You know what I mean? Like, that, New Zealand team from 2011 to 2015, you could argue is the greatest sporting team of all time, with the success rate in terms of their wins, the trophies they accumulated, and being the first team to go back-to-back at a Rugby World Cup.
Yeah, well, even, I know a lot of Kiwis look back at that team and just think that is probably the best All Black side ever. So you felt that as well, even going up against it? You felt like, man, this team is one of the best.
Probably in hindsight, I say that.
Hindsight,
Like,
yeah,
not in the
okay.
moment.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment, like, I'm going out there to compete, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going out there to win.
Yeah.
Like, bro, with you, you'd know. Like, regardless of who you're coming up against, it's like, I don't care. I'm going out there to win.
Yeah.
I don't care who's in that team. In hindsight, when you look back, it's like, Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
Aaron Smith, Dan Carter, Martin Nonu, Conrad Smith. Then you've got Richie McCaw, Kieran Reid, Jerome Kaino, Brody Retallick, Sam Whitelock. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that I was so fortunate in hindsight to play against, honestly, the greatest rugby team ever for those years. Because, bro, as a competitor, all you ever want to do is compete against the best. And when I look back on my career, yes, like, I didn't win a lot. I think, bro, I played New Zealand like 25, 26, 27 times, won 3 times.
Did you?
But,
and
bro, yeah,
2 rugby championships, or
yeah. But what I say to him and say to anyone is, man, I feel so grateful though, which might sound crazy, that I got to challenge and test myself against some of the best players who ever played the game, but possibly the greatest rugby team of all time. It meant we didn't win. It meant we suffered so much heartbreak and hurt and criticism. But as a competitor, when I look back, I'm like, man, I got to challenge myself and at certain points in time, like, hold my own against, it's these great players.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. And your decision to leave Australian rugby at the end of that World Cup, was that a hard one for you?
No, I reckon at that stage I was ready to go. I've been playing since the end of 2006, and so I've been at the Reds for 9 years. Fortunate enough to have success there, and I just wanted to experience something different. And so, France was amazing for me to be able to experience a different culture, different lifestyle, different rugby. I just think at that point I was definitely ready to do something different. But it was funny. Again, like, it's another funny thing. Like, I signed thinking I'm done playing Test footy because at that stage, you couldn't play for Australia if you're overseas. And then literally I signed, and like a week later, they were like, oh, if you've played over 60 tests, you can play for Australia. And so Michael Checker sent me a message saying, Willie, you can still play. I was like, oh. I was just thinking to myself, I'm going to go over for like 3 years to Paris and just chill and like enjoy footy. And then I ended up just kept playing, which, don't get me wrong, I'm so grateful for. But it's funny to think back on it now.
So how did that work? You just play for Australia in the off season?
No. So you had those. So rugby championship would go while the top 14 was being played.
Yeah.
But because of the Reg 9 rules, you could only play in a certain window during that period, which means I played all the games except the last Bledisloe, because the last Bledisloe was outside the rugby championship window.
Oh, okay.
And then same thing with the end of season tour. I could play every game except one because the window for the Reg 9 rules to be applied finished. So I had to be back in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
It's essentially for that period, like you play nonstop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you played all year round and like tough games all year round because there's no easy games playing in France.
And how'd you find the rugby side of things over there? Did it open your eyes up to different way to play, or how'd you find it?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. So we had an elite level scrum at Stade Francais. So they loved set piece, and they I wasn't like a big box kicking halfback. Like, I could do it, but like not to the level at that stage of like a lot of other nines.
Yeah.
I had to learn very quickly to box kick consistently and understand when to use it, when not to use it. And so definitely it was really good in terms of growing my game, but it was very different. It's more like Test footy over there, I found, like, where it's more about set piece is really important, territory is really important, take the points when they're on offer. And so, bro, like, another funny story, like, we had a elite scrum, right? And so we had a scrum penalty, and we had the advantage for a scrum penalty, and then like naturally for us, it's like use the ball because it's an advantage. Like, let's
free
just
shot.
try. It's a free shot. Bro, I pass the ball, and they knocking it on. Well, the ball comes back, and the prop questioning, really, no, don't pass, leave, must. I was like, sweet. Anyway, we do it again, penalty advantage, and then we get the penalty, and I take a quick tap because I'm like, bro, they're not going to expect me to take a quick tap here. Take a quick tap, play on, and then we get a penalty because they're not bat 10, comes back, and the guy grabs me. He goes, "Don't ever do that again." We scrum, 3 points, must. I was like, sweet. I had to like, because my instinct is to want to play.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's how we grew up playing. Like, in where we're from, you want to use the ball, you want to play it. Whereas they're like, no, we're going to get a penalty. We're taking 3.
Yeah.
We're going to go back, try get another penalty, get to a more, maybe get a scrum penalty, take 3.
Yeah. Did you find that hard in like meetings and like obviously the strat of the week and stuff? Did you try and bite back, or did you just sort of sit there and sort of go with how they played?
Bro, my first ever meeting there, like, we just played in the World Cup final, so I'm going there thinking like, I'm gonna carry a bit of like cachet here, like, so I'm gonna speak up in a meeting, bro. So there was something about defense, like 9-10 defense in that channel or something. They'd done something. I was watching, so I put my hand up and I said something, bro. Crickets. No one said anything, and almost I was like looking around, thinking like blokes actually looked disgusted that I'd said what I'd said. So, bro, for my 2 years there, I didn't say anything else. Nothing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just play. I'm gonna train hard, play well, and then let my footy do the talking.
Oh, you learnt straight away. Well,
Bro,
at least you learnt.
straight away. The other funny story, bro, it was like, so over there, so I played like 4 games in my first season, and then I had to get a scope on my knee, and because it was real bad, like, so I was out for 7 months from it, like a simple scope, but I just had issues at that point with it. And over there with their rehab, they don't do rehab at the club. They do rehab at a hospital facility, which was like an hour away.
Oh, far.
And you're doing it with like people from the everyday world that have had skiing accidents, car crash victims, all that type of stuff. So I'd have to go there every morning from like 9 to 11. And then the club said to me, like, there's no point in you coming back. So you just go do your rehab from 9 to 11, and then you don't have to be here. So like that was for 3 months. So for 3 months, I didn't go to the club. I started going back to the club when they said I could start using the watt bike, and so I'd go back there.
That's weird.
So, bro, I'm not at the club. And then I think the Paris Sevens was on at that stage. And so I went down with a couple of the boys I was watching, and one of our props, it was a Tongan boy. He was sitting next to me, and he was like, no, sorry, the Samoan boy. He was like, oh, Willie, don't worry about what the boys are saying about you. It's all good. Don't worry about it, bro. And I hadn't been in the club for 3 months. And so I'm like, what? What are they saying about me, bro? I've only played 4 games and I've been there for 3 months. He goes, oh, they're just saying you're getting paid all this money and you're never here. What a waste of money. Bro, I was heartbroken. I was like, what? Man, I can't help it. I'm in rehab and I'm used to doing my rehab at the club. I'd love to be here, but they told me to go to this hospital. Anyway, that was a funny experience, bro. Bro, it was a funny experience.
I love that one. Don't worry about what they're saying about you,
bro.
That's like
Legit,
the
bro.
worst
And I was like, what? What are they saying about me? I don't know. I haven't been here. And then, but then it's funny, bro. Like I ended up playing the next season and played pretty well. Like I had a good season where like we ended up winning the Challenge Cup that year, and like they ended up loving you. So because I had 1 more year in my deal, but I was going back to Australia because Czech wanted me back in Australia. It was better for me to be playing there for a Rugby World Cup 2019, and they're like, "Oh, don't go, please don't go. We want you to stay." But it was a different experience on the field and off the field. But honestly, I loved it. Like I loved it. I still talk to some of the boys that I got to play with when I was over there. And like I say all these things, but I don't say them from a place of like disrespect. I genuinely loved it over there.
Yeah.
I loved my teammates. I loved the club. I loved all of it, all the good, all the bad, because it was such a great experience.
Yeah, that's cool. And you mentioned your return home. Obviously, Czech had an influence on that. Was it always going to be to the Rebels, or were the Reds keen to get you back? How was that decision?
But I wanted to go to the Reds, but
did
you? Yeah, like I really wanted to, because it was like I'm at that stage. You're like, oh, I'm a Queensland Red. I don't want to play for anyone else. And I'd sort of been, well, I was told that they were keen, but they were keen for like 4 months without giving me anything. And so I kind of got the hint that they were, and fair enough. Like they had Tate McDermott coming through on their books, who's turned out to be a really, really good player. So they were absolutely right in terms of making that decision. But then the Rebels came knocking, and that again wasn't like, I loved it. I loved Melbourne. I was so lucky that it all turned out that way, that I got to go and live in Melbourne for one, but also like going to somewhere like Melbourne where they hadn't had much success. It was just such a great opportunity to see if you could turn things around.
Yeah.
And I think both seasons that I was there in 2018, like we scored the most amount of tries, the most amount of points for the club. I think we finished the highest on the ladder at that stage. Same thing in 2019. We scored the most amount of points again. We finished the highest on the ladder at that stage. And so to be a part of like building a sense of success for the club and contributing to that in a positive way was like something I look back on like that I'm really, really proud of.
And on the back of that, you go to your third Rugby World Cup, this time in Japan. Um, what was that one like?
Yeah, Japan was different because I think at that stage we, as a Wallaby team, we were going through a lot of stuff off the field. Like it's well documented the Izzy Folau stuff,
Oh yeah,
and I think what that did was it put a split in the group. I think because of people who supported it, who not supported Izzy or didn't support Izzy. Izzy was our mate. Like we all supported Izzy in that sense, right?
yeah,
But it would put a split in the group as far as the people who supported Rugby Australia's decision to sack him and not, and like that created a lot of dysfunction, I think, because there were a lot of people in the group that had, were religious and of that belief as well and of that faith. And, you know, I can't speak for them as far as saying whether they agreed or they didn't agree with everything that went down, but it just created a lot of separation in the group at the time. And so it probably wasn't as enjoyable. Well, it wasn't as enjoyable as 11 and 15. Japan was a cool experience. I really enjoyed the World Cup being over here, but we culturally and in terms of the environment at the time on the team, it probably wasn't in the best place.
yeah. So what would that look like? Just guys not really keen to put their body on the line because of how everything been dealt with, or like what did it
No,
sort of look
well,
like?
not necessarily the stuff on the field. Like, bro, when you put that jersey on, like you're playing for Australia, that's everyone's putting their body on, everyone's
Yeah,
competing.
okay,
But what makes a big difference is the culture in and around the team, as far
yeah,
as um, everyone being aligned and success coming off the back of that. So I
yeah,
don't think we were as aligned as we could have been off the field because of the stuff that went down.
yeah,
And so, like, if I compare it to 2015, like boys are doing everything together. Like boys are having coffees together, boys are going having dinners together,
yeah,
boys wanted to be around each other, and training was at a higher standard because like boys really bought into the team as a whole. Whereas I don't think at 2019 there was as much alignment or buy-in because of everything that had happened.
okay. So you had sort of your group who supported or good mates with Izzy and felt like it was harshly dealt with, and the other group who probably thought it was fair enough.
Well, the other group that probably just, whether they thought it was fair enough or they just
It is what it is.
in between,
Yeah,
indifferent
yeah,
about it, were just indifferent
yeah,
about it. You know what I mean? Um, and it wasn't necessarily that the boys didn't get along well with each other. It was more that the boys, like there was a group of people that didn't agree with the decision that held like well, probably weren't happy with Rugby Australia as a whole.
yeah,
You know what I mean? As opposed to like unhappy with their
yeah,
teammates.
yeah. And then that World Cup knocked out in the quarters from memory, was it?
Yeah, England got us
England,
back. I
that's
tell you,
right.
I was having a laugh about them in 2015 when they got us back.
What do you remember about that one? Oh, they got the All Blacks too the week after.
Yeah, they made the semi. They were just too good at that stage. I think Eddie Jones had done such a great job at preparing them and building them for those years leading into that World Cup.
Yeah,
They'd beat New Zealand, I think, a couple of times, and they'd won successive Six Nations, maybe a Grand Slam or two within that. So they'd had players primed in terms of like that beautiful combination of winning and individual success and confidence.
yeah,
And so they were in such a great position, and yeah, they were just too good for us. They were too good for us.
yeah. And at the end of that tournament, you had announced your retirement from Test footy. You'd signed with Japan.
Bro, to tell you the truth, I was like done, and
Done.
it's
Yeah,
I look back and it's funny to me because I was like, bro, I was 31.
yeah,
Like to think that um I had enough. But I remember we were in South Africa before we played the box at Ellis Park in the shortened rugby championship. I remember waking up one morning. It was the funniest thing. I was like, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like I don't think, because for me, like how I was talking earlier about the way I
mm,
trained, the way I
mm,
carried myself, but I was rugby 24/7 in the sense that like everything I did um was to compete against not only the opposition that I'm playing against, but to compete against my opposite, like
yeah,
halfbacks. So like I would live in this space where like during Super Rugby seasons, I'm watching them being like, oh, what are they doing? All right, I'm gonna go do that so I can be better at that. Oh, they look like they're pretty fit. All right, I'm gonna go work on my fitness. Um, And so I would think that way and compete that way with myself, but train that way. So like that mentality I was saying around doing all those extras, that never stopped. Like after a test match, like this happened all the time. After a test match, if I didn't feel like I was moving well enough or not fit enough, bro, as soon as we go back to the team hotel, I'd go for like a 6K run. I'd go down in like a hoodie on, go down in the gym so no one saw me, run on a treadmill for 6K and be like, you need to be fitter. This is what you're doing.
All right.
Or if there was no gym or treadmill, I'm going for like a 6K run on a 6K road run. It's like, bro, you need to be fitter. You need to be better. And then maybe do a bit the next day, that type of stuff. Or if I felt that way again, I'd do it on Wednesday, the day off. And so I was always like, for me, it wasn't just a physical element of it. It was like I would always put myself in that position where I was competing with everyone and competing with myself.
Yeah.
Like so that those training habits never ever changed. And so I just remember because of all that, like I got to a point where I woke up and I was like, bro, I actually cannot like do this anymore. Because the mental stress on me, like being that way, just finally took its toll. Where I was like, bro, this is it. I've had enough. I'm gonna go as hard as I can at this World Cup, and then I'm gonna give it away.
And then you have another 6 years in Japan.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, bro, like coming over here again, being older as well in terms of learning about who I am more as a person, you realize quickly you can still have the same success or still get to the same point going about it a different way. Like I'd realized at that point I'd built enough of a capacity and a base in terms of a lot of my fitness and my conditioning and my skill that I didn't necessarily have to do all of that. I could do little bits and pieces every day as opposed to doing massive chunks, every second day type of thing. Going for 6K runs. I didn't really need to do all that type of stuff. And so that's, I think, what allowed me to come over and have another 6 seasons over here, but also just really enjoy it. But, bro, I look back and I love that part of my journey that like I was a bit of a crazy person. Like, bro, like I wouldn't go on holidays to places that didn't have fields next to them. I'd cut holidays short if like I'd be away. Like I was at the Maldives for like I was meant to be there for 7 days, bro. After 5 days, I'd watch something of someone training somewhere. I was like, oh, we gotta go home. Change the flight. Went back the next day.
Far out.
Bro, just like that type of stuff. Like it sounds stupidly crazy, but that's just what I was like. Because I was like, no, I'm not going to let that person be better than me, or I'm not going to let myself. And it wasn't even like I was taking shortcuts, but I was like, if I don't do that, I feel like I'm taking shortcuts. So that's a shortcut. So I'm not doing it. So I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and go do this.
Wow. I love it.
And so, like I said, I love that part of it. But yeah, it takes its toll. That's for sure.
And how'd you find Japan? Like, did you go over there with your family or?
Yeah. So they were over here initially, but they're back in Papua New Guinea now. So my little girl goes to school in Papua New Guinea. But we were over here during COVID, which was actually, the year before COVID. So they enjoyed the first season there. And then when we went back, COVID kicked in and they kind of just stayed back home.
Yeah. And how hard was that? Like, I've obviously spoken to people who have tried living in Japan without their family, especially people with kids, and how hard that time can be.
It is hard, but it's also like I'm the type of person that tries to see the positives of it. Like in the 6 seasons I was here, at the end of the season, we get 3 to 4 months off.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's 3 to 4 months off 24/7 with my family, with my daughter. Like a lot of people who like, say for example, you have a kid or you have children, you say you work from like 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever. You'll see them on the weekends, but a lot of the time you might see them during the weeks. It's just in the morning before they go to school, or they're already in bed by the time you get home. So I thought of it as like, well, yes, I miss out on all that, but I also get her for 3 to 4 months, 24/7, genuine quality time. So like I didn't look at it in a way that I was missing out on stuff. I looked at it in a way, well, I'm pretty grateful because rugby's allowed me to have a lot of quality time that most people wouldn't.
Yeah. Cool way to look at it. And spending 6 years there, you obviously loved it.
Mate, I accumulated a lot of off time, that's for sure, which I really enjoyed.
And then obviously the decision to retire from the game, you obviously look like you could still compete. Your forearms are looking massive. The passing is still strong.
That's the angles.
But was it a tough decision for you, or at this point were you just done on the game fully?
It's an interesting one, bro, because I feel like I could still play for sure.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like as a coach now, with watching my teammates, the players, I definitely feel like I could still play and still train. Like occasionally I'll jump in and do some stuff with them. But what I found questioning myself was, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it anymore to put yourself through that stress? Like, there's opportunities to potentially go play in the States or play in France for like Div 2 clubs or whatever, but it's like, is it worth it? And I felt like, because I was constantly questioning that, is it worth it? It's like, well, there's your answer in a sense, you know what I mean? Like, if you're sitting here asking the question, is it worth it? It probably isn't.
Yeah.
And also, I then had, like, I sat back and was like, bro, I've been lucky to play for 20 years, like, and not just plodded along for 20 years, like, had some really cool experiences, played at the top level for a long time and competed. And, like, there was just so much to be grateful for and content for that, like, yeah, I was just happy.
Yeah.
Like, I actually, I don't know if I'll feel it later on or if it ever kicks in later. I don't regret the decision, or I don't think to myself, oh man, I should still be playing. Like, I feel like I could still play, but I don't sit here thinking, man, I should still be playing.
Yeah. You're enjoying the transition. And what's your aspirations in the coaching world? Yeah. Just gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, it's just to learn as much as I can. Like, it's such an eye opener sitting in the coach's room, listening to whether it's Quaid or the head coach Haruki, or we've got Ross Filippo who's coming in as a
Oh yeah,
forwards
cool.
coach. Like, yeah, bro, like, to be able to sit back and just listen and understand through their experiences how they see the game, how they coach the game, what they see is important, what bits of detail are really important in terms of defense, in terms of attack, and then through that lens, watch rugby differently. Like, I was having a chat to Quaid about, I was like, through all the stuff that I've learned from our conversations and from putting things together to implement with our boys training, I watch the game so differently now. You look at the small little things, and I love watching rugby league as well, like watching how rugby league does things and how we can apply certain things that they do in our game. And so, as far as ambitions for it, the same ambition is, like, you only earn the right to work harder, right? So, like, I've been given this opportunity. Well, I've earned the right to work harder to be able to keep it and to grow and to get better. And so that's kind of where my head's at with it.
Mate, so you're going to go on to be one of the great coaches with that mindset.
Mate, don't say that.
I
Don't
cannot
say that.
wait. Oh, it's
I'll
going
try
to be
hard.
good.
I'll try hard, but I'll see.
Well, that'll get you a long way. But anyway, we'll go on to our questions on Instagram, and man, thousands came in for the world's greatest number 9. First question:
Bro,
who's the best player that you played against?
geez, that's a good question. I'd say it's a tie between Richie McCaw and Dan Carter.
Yeah,
Like, if you think about what a rugby player is and someone who's just the best of all time, you think of Dan Carter, right? Because I can do everything, has won everything, and was like the man in every one of those games and every one of those moments, and did it consistently for a long period of time. But when I think about Richie, like, he's just the most relentless competitor I've ever seen.
yeah,
I can't put it any other way. Like, he would never stop at any stage throughout a game and would be going just as hard from the first to the 80th, and could do it, I reckon, till like the 120th minute. And was he was like an 8 out of 10 at everything, which is like elite. Like, 8 out of, you'd say above an 8 out of 10, I should say, like 10 out of 10 at the breakdown, 10 out of 10 in the tackle, 10 out of 10 leadership, 8 out of, I don't know, lineouts, bro, or scrums. I'm just saying, like, 8 or 9
yeah,
out of 10 lineouts and scrums, 8 out of 10 catch pass, 12 out of 10, like, motor on him in terms of his fitness. And, like, bro was just elite, an elite level competitor who was just relentless, and, like, was everywhere on the field. And it's like, I always felt, maybe, I don't know if it's just me, I always felt like he was like two people on the field. He was like, his worth was like two people on the field because he was that good. But I'd say it'd be a tie between those two. Um, Dan was probably my favorite player as a kid growing up.
yeah.
And so that was a surreal experience to be able to play against him, be on the field with someone like that.
To sidestep them both, and go 60 meters in a final.
No, Bruce, no, bro, don't say that. You make me feel bad. I remember when that's luck, bro. That's just luck. I remember when I first played against DC, like, and this is like, it's like fanboy, but like, I remember just like, I I was in behind the ruck and I was looking at this player and I was thinking, bro, I used to play with this guy on Rugby 08. Like I still want to be this guy, like as a kid growing up, you know what I mean? And then like I'm on the field and then you snap out and you're like, bro, you gotta tackle this dude, man. What are you doing?
Well, I know that feeling though when
Bro, it's crazy,
you go into Rugby 08 mode.
Bro, 100%.
Oh, that's classic. Okay, this one follows on, but best halfback you played against?
Oh man, free to pre,
Oh,
easily,
so good.
easily. Like I honestly think he revolutionized the game for halfbacks because I'd say prior to him, you either had your big ninth forward type halfback or you had your passing halfback.
Mm,
And I loved watching Free play because he was how I wanted to play the game. He was a playmaking halfback, you know, where he was run, pass, kick, and he was elite at all three of them.
yeah.
And I think he's the thing that made him, to me anyway, the best that I've ever seen is he was 2 or 3 steps ahead of people in terms of his decision making. And so he just always had time. Like I don't like he would as a 9, like when you run out and you scoot and you try to sit defenders down, you try to play someone in the hole. And sometimes you get more often than not at an elite level, as an elite level halfback, you're going to get it right. But he would get it right every single time. He'd know whether to play short, long, mid, or pull out the back. He'd be hitting crossfield kicks from like the ruck. I remember watching him. He'd be counter-attacking from the back as a halfback, but then was elite again at all his core skills. He was the best halfback I'd ever played against. And then like Aaron Smith would be up there as well. Obviously, I'm gonna give a shout out to Pure Whippy. Same thing. Like
Yeah.
different types of players, and they probably played in different eras where the game was very different. You know, like Piri played in a game where the game probably, well, the game was just different when Aaron was playing. And so I think in their respective eras, in terms of halfbacks I played against, you know, like I didn't play against DuPont, or I think I might have played against Gibson Park when he was at the Blues. I don't know. But those three would be the best that I'd play against. But
Yeah.
Free for me would be top of the tree.
Gun. Oh, so cool to hear. Okay, did you ever come close to playing for a New Zealand super side?
Oh, I always wanted to. That was a dream. I always wanted to do what James O'Connor did at some point. Like,
well, there's a chance, mate.
nah, mate, my legs won't. My legs, bro. The way the game's played now is too fast. But, I think when I was coming back from Stade Francais, I tossed it out there to my agent. I was like, "Oh, is there potential to maybe go play for a Kiwi franchise?"
Yeah.
But I don't think he took me seriously. So I would have loved to. Like, I genuinely would have loved to. It was something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And even if it was to play for like an ITM Cup team, because, you know, again, like you have so much respect for the way the Kiwis played the game, particularly when I played against them. So to be able to like, again, like learn and see how they do things and how they, you know, how they see the game would have been a really cool experience.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been cool. Shame it didn't happen. Okay. What made the Genia Cooper combination so great?
First of all, time.
Yeah.
Like I'd met Quade when I was 14.
Oh, far.
So we started playing together and against each other basically since we were 14. So we already had that relationship. But then I think over the time, just trust. Like I had absolute trust in him with what he was going to do, and I would back him no matter what. And then same thing with me. You know, like it's whether it was a right decision or a wrong decision, it'd always be like, you might say to him like, bro, what the fuck was that? Or like, bro, or he might say to him, bro, if I'm calling for the ball, give me the ball type of thing.
Yeah.
But then that would be out of like a place of respect and trust, you know. But because after that, it'd be like, bro, that's all good. But if you're going to play that option, look for this, you know, or maybe look for that type of thing. Like it was always just trust and respect because I think one thing we respect a lot about each other is we put the work in. You know, a lot of the stuff that we did on the field, like, especially like I'll say this about Quade, like people say that he was an off the cuff type of player, and he worked so hard on his game. Like the flick passes, he'd be working on that in training, you know, and like sometimes like his ability to read a game and understand, like he was such a student of the game. And so I think we respected a lot the work that we put in. And so we were able to trust each other when we're on the field, whether things went right or went wrong.
I like it. So cool. Okay, next one. Can the Wallabies win the 2027 Rugby World Cup?
Bro, you know what? I think we can.
They're tracking.
I actually think we can because we're tracking well. Like if you look at a lot of teams that have gone on to be successful, they generally start building from 2 years out. And if you think where we are now, like we beat the Lions in that third test and we're very close to beating them in the second test. We beat them box at Ellis Park. and we were competitive, very competitive in the second test in Cape Town. But more than that, if you just look at the team, there's a sense of confidence and resolve within the group that I think has been lacking from Wallaby teams in the past. Where, like, you think about that Ellis Park test, most teams in the past would have been like, "Oh, it's good enough to come close," and yeah, we came back, but we still lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, not them. They come back and they win that game, and I don't know. I look at them and I'm just like, I like where they're tracking. I like the style of footy that they're playing. I like the way they carry themselves, the confidence that they have, and I like their toughness in game. They don't stop coming. They keep going.
Do they win the Bledisloe this year? The way you're talking, it could be.
And they don't. I'm not falling into that trap. Do they win the Bledisloe? I'm not going to say whether they do or they don't, but I think it'll be competitive.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be competitive,
Most competitive in a long time, I think.
Most competitive in a long time, man. A long time.
Oh, it's going to be good stuff. Okay, this one. If Oz Rugby could sign one league player for the Rugby World Cup, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Payne Haas.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Where would you play him? 8, 6?
He'd be in your back right.
Your Valentini type setup.
Yeah. Bro, rugby nowadays is so much about power, collision, and brute force. Like you look at South Africa, they were so good. You look at the teams at like France, for example, big forward pack. The Lions, big forward pack. And West. That's actually why I think we're starting to come good. Is we're embracing the physicality of the game now.
Yeah.
We're winning collisions with guys like Valentini, Tom Hooper, Will Skelton. So you imagine bringing someone like him in and you just play him off the back of the scrum, but put him at 8 or 6.
Yeah.
And then you just give him a freedom to. He'd basically be another Will Skelton, but he'd be a lot more mobile.
Yeah.
And from all reports, mate, he's got a massive engine on him.
Oh, man, he can go 80 minutes.
Bro, I would do it. Bro, I'd be throwing the bank at that bloke. Like, please, pay him. Come on.
Yeah. Well, Joseph's done a good job, eh? He's transitioned really well.
Yeah, and the thing about someone like Joseph, I think what he does, when guys like that come over, and it was similar to Izzy Folau, they just instill like a sense of belief and confidence. And they're big players who have played in big games, who have performed at the high level, but are coming from NRL, which is just like it's everywhere. Like it's a superstar mentality over there. So when you get someone like that coming, it instills an injection of confidence straight away. We've got this guy; he's a baller. Like he's gonna come out, and then when he comes out and plays the way that he does, Joseph that we're talking about, like it adds further to that belief and confidence that he brings already. Yeah. I love watching him go about his business.
He's tough too, eh? He loves it.
Bro, he's tough, man, and he likes to talk trash, and he gets stuck in. And man, he's quality, man. He's quality. He does the basics really well, which I like as well. Like he's got the flashy stuff in him, and he's still got a way to go to learn the game, I think, especially playing at 13. But even already, you'd say he's top shelf.
Yeah, love it. Okay, 2 more. Best 3 lads on an end of year do.
Oh, Jesus.
Who's a couple of Aussie lads who go good?
Mate, I'm not a big man for an ND season. I was always, my team, everyone would tell you I was boring because I was just footy, right? Like, I just wouldn't do stuff. But if
you're on the field with the lights on training.
Yeah, well, boys are having beers. Mate, Rod Davies was an absolute great man. Had to have a few beers with. Shirt off, loves to dance, and can, mate, he can go for ages. So he's a good man to have a beer with. Benny Lucas is a good man to have a beer with. I'm thinking like Red's team. A lot of the boys that I did have a fair few.
Yeah, I played with Benny. He does love it.
He loves it, mate, and loves a wrestle. Yeah. The moth, mate, shirt off, and we'll just get straight into wrestling. And the good thing is, those two, Benny Lucas and Rocket, are good for a fight when they're together. So you get them together, have a few beers, both shirt off, either wrestling or fight. And because Rod Davies, he can eat and fight. He was a Golden Gloves champ as a kid. So.
Oh, true. Oh,
and I'll probably have to chuck my mate Quade Cooper in there.
Oh, he loves that.
Just to be the general of it all. Like he'll come in there and take control and make the boys do certain things that they shouldn't be doing and stuff like that. So.
Oh, what a crew!
He's a good man to have
What a crew!
Yeah, mate. So that's a good crew. That's actually a great crew. That's a great crew.
Okay, last question. Best piece of advice for a Woodland listener?
There's a lot, but I would say one of the best things I learned, and I guess it could pass off as advice, is if you make enough tough choices, they stop becoming choices and they become habit. And habit eventually becomes lifestyle. And like in my experience with that, like it's the same thing around like all the crazy training stories that I told you. Bro, I didn't want to do those things. Like, but it was always a tough choice to do it because for me, it was like, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be the best that I can be. I want to make the absolute most of this opportunity wherever it takes me. And so I'm going to have to make this tough choice. But then make enough tough choices, it stops becoming a choice and it becomes a habit and it just becomes your lifestyle. And that's one of the great things that I was lucky enough to learn over the course of my career.
Mate, that is dead set the best piece of advice we've ever had. That is absolute gold. That is so
I appreciate
good.
it, bro.
Mate, I appreciate you coming on. That's been some journey. Like, what a story and what a cool way to sort of reflect on a career that's come to the end, but also just getting started with your work ethic and your rugby knowledge. Geez, you are going to be some coach. So really looking forward to following that journey, but just appreciate you coming on and grateful to go through that whole story with you. Like your work ethic throughout it has been inspiring to hear, and I'm sure so many kids out there who are thinking they're training pretty hard will second guess themselves and maybe go out and do that extra session after hearing that. But that's really appreciate you coming on, man.
No worries, bro. And I appreciate it, man. I enjoy what you're doing as well in this space. It's great to hear some of the conversations that you have with people, man. So you keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Mate, you're a lad. Well, there you have it. Thanks to Betcha for bringing you this episode. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, please give it a share and let me know what you thought of it in the comments.